Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Wolves versus MnM to kick off our first match. Very excited for this one here between the two teams that have had some pretty good success in 2022 for looking back and where they were in 21 into this fateful year for both of them. Career making. Wolves finally getting an org. That was awesome. MnM finding a lot of success despite being the underdogs that came out of CL. That's our main story for game number one. Best of 3 series, which if you're coming here and watching from the EUL studio, it's not the usual thing that you get to see, but hey, that's cool for us as well. Hello, Tristan. Hello, Fresh.
Hello. It was so long without you, Mr. Losh.
What? Why? I mean, you could have made it to the major, but...
I was more thinking we were away from each other for a minute, but thank you, Milosh, for hurting me again.
Oh well.
It won't be the first time. He still mentions Chaos's relegation, and that was...
Oh yeah, but that was amazing though, wasn't it? I think we all enjoyed that.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
Right. See, you opened your own Pandora's box. You're the one that brought him out here.
True.
There you go. Anyways, let's have a chat about our two teams, starting off with MnM. Can you tell us a thing or two about MnM?
British core to the team. A proper team. A good, strong team. A team of rookies that have come through. They've been together. I believe they've been together now for the entire year, if not even longer. A team of friends as well. They always play with each other constantly. I don't know if you've been checking the ranked leaderboards as of lately, but Usus and Solotov have been absolutely going at it, so we're expecting them to both be on fire today. A team that's very strong. 5 great players in there. A great IGL with Nello, player with experience, a mixture of youth. An exciting team, Fresh.
They feel like, and MnM for me feel like it's a team that should have it all. That, especially with the way that the meta will go to play out, where they should have absolutely everything. 2 decent backline players, team, like you say, that's been together forever. They've got probably the best entry in the league in Solotov. I know, you know, obviously you're going to say people from your team. Solotov is like an entry demon. And Tyrant's really stepped it up, especially in stage 3 in the major. He stepped it up in terms of his engagements. And then Usus, I think there's like, Usus has got that little bit of stardust as a player that you need. Is like, he plays that kind of lurk opportunity spot, but then when you need him to make a round happen, he makes it happen. In theory, they've got everything. They've just not been able to put it together on the best stage yet.
So that's what we were thinking about Wolves until they started making it happen, at least consistently going to majors and playing in the quarterfinals, which is pretty impressive, Jack.
I think it's very impressive for Wolves. I think they've had a great year, to be honest. You know, they will be coming off the back of the major loss, of going out of the major, not particularly happy with themselves, if I'm being brutally honest. They would have wanted to go further. They obviously had a big hurdle to overcome in BDS. I think had they have not played BDS in the quarterfinals, they might have gone further. But for me, you're looking at, and I've said this all year long, especially about teams and the way that the game's played, is it's all about teamwork. Wolves are one of the best teams, and I would say the core 4. I'm excluding Mowgli from this, because Mowgli kind of goes and does Mowgli things, gets on the entry, and he's either very successful or isn't successful. When he's not successful, and Wolves are playing out a 4v5, I think they're one of the best teams in the world, navigating themselves through a 4v5 and making it to their advantage and playing as a team, as one singular unit.
And I think we can put that down to things such as experience. I don't think you're going to find 2 more experienced players in the whole, maybe in most esports, than both Bibu and Rise. And I think Bibu has to be pointed out as well, because as of late, as of recently, he has been unbelievable. I think he might be playing now the best Siege of his career. And I watched him when he was on Xbox. I played against him on Ranked when he was on Xbox, and he's been incredible. They're a team as well that I'd say the difference with MnM, so we've spoken about previous positions and everything, but I think the difference is they've just got that bit more explosiveness. And as Fresh said, it's a core of 4, and then you've got Mowgli. He goes and he makes things happen, and people play off of him is the main part of it. They're always looking to probe gaps, to find ways to shift the angle of their attack, and I think that's their big strength as a team.
I spoke to Rise at the major, and he said, he spoke about his playstyle, and he said the one thing that I needed to get into these young players, in terms of Shinka, in terms of P4 and Mowgli, is you will have an idea to go and do something because you think you can be the hero. But I want you to think, automatically, every time you think that, bring somebody with me to do it together, because then we will always get the success. And I think that's why they found so much success, certainly domestically.
Okay. Some things still tire out in the quarters, but that happens. It's okay. The pressure, they're not the ones saying, hey, we're going to build a dynasty like G2 does, and then things fall apart. So the expectations are moderated. They're realistic in their state compared to other teams that like to, you know, talk too much about certain things. But moving on from this point, talk about highlight players, because you mentioned a couple of them here, but we have a head-to-head for everybody. Our analyst selected them. So who are the 2 players that they put on the board, it's Mowgli and Solotov. Wow, preemptively, talking about the two players that are really at the top of their team, what are we trying to compare here, lads?
I think whichever player performs better out of these two today most likely has a good chance of winning the overall series, to be honest. If you look at just how similar that is, despite different operators, despite slightly different roles, the same cost, the same kills per round, the KD similar, EPS, 1 point difference. These guys are quite inseparable.
If you were to put a poll of who's the best entry player in the league, now people think of fraggers as entry players, but actually pure get in the building, enter for your team, create the space. I think these potentially are the two best entry players in the league in terms of doing that, and their teams rely on them so much for that in their roles, and that's why we wanted to highlight them. Like you say, whoever's probably has a better day out of these two today will be setting the platform for their team to go and win the game. It's you know, it's kind of, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
What are you trying to say, Jack? It's kind of...
It's a hard job to do. It's a hard job to do because it relies on confidence. Sometimes you're going to hit death after death after death. And we've seen these players be... You could call it inconsistent, right? You could call it inconsistent where they're not achieving what they want to achieve statistically. But they're just confident enough every single game to just keep repeating that process.
It's part of the risk and reward when you're the pin of the needle when you're playing for your team, right? There's sometimes we'll find openings and it'll be great, and some others when, you know, you blank out in the middle of the game and suddenly it's not going to work out. But hey, there we go. She looks fantastic, by the way, doesn't she?
Oh, I think she's great. She looks just as good as she is in game. Hopefully we get to see her today. Hopefully the teams are exciting. Hopefully they're in play. That's what I want to see.
We have a couple minutes here extra, solving a couple of tech issues here. But do you expect to see Solus in play? Now, I know you have the biases. Hey, I work for Rogue and, you know, all of that. But try to put that aside for just a moment. Talk to us about the viability of this operator in comp in a realistic manner.
I think if we don't see her today, the only reason we won't see her today is because she's banned, because teams are either scared of her, they don't quite know how they want to use her, they don't want the other team to use her. It's going to be something along those lines. I think this is just a question of, is a team scared of it? But with that said, even if Solus isn't in play, she is going to have a huge impact today, even if banned, because it means you can't ban, for example, a Valkyrie, you can't ban, for example, a Cade, so your setup, no matter what, is going to have to change because there's different operators in play.
Yeah, them kind of peripheral operators that were kind of, because we were seeing a lot of Azami Valk. That's what we've seen as kind of the staple bans. You know, obviously it's map and team dependent, but on just general ban rates, we've seen a lot of Azami Valk. Now Solus is coming into that, they're going to be banned less. But also, like you say, your Cades, your Mirrors, you know, maybe your Clash bans, some out there bans that teams do or have done, they're probably not going to have the flexibility to do that with, because teams will just play a Valkyrie. Like a Valkyrie and a Solus together is so strong.
All right, then let's talk about our maps for this series. And this will be a best of 3, just so everybody knows, all best of 3s in our weekend, so all 4 matches that we're going through. And just to put your massive tablet aside for a moment here, our first pick is Wolves. They start off on Kafe Dostoevsky on the defense. On Kafe, MnM are on Skyscraper. Attack starting side. Skyscraper, really an attack starting side. I'm really curious about that one because currently EU really has sucked attacking Skyscraper. Finally, Chalet, MnM on the attacking side as our decider. Cool. So what are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, I think we'll start with the decider. Chalet for both teams is kind of sort of a staple for both teams. I don't think there's too much interesting in that. I think it's a map both teams are going to like and they're going to want. The interesting ones for me, Kafe and Sky, I think, from my gut instinct, I think MnM would be pretty happy with the maps that they're going to here.
Yep.
I think Kafe, one that we experienced ourselves with Rogue, they absolutely destroyed us on Kafe earlier on in the year. They were very good on that map. They like to take things slow. They like to poke angles. They like the repel play. That's going to be difficult for Wolves. Players like Mowgli especially are going to have to find that balance between, do I jump out? Do I peek this window? Do I play for time? That's one where your IGL is very important on Kafe. You were saying Sky, that teams don't like attacking Sky. Well, I would say Rogue absolutely love attacking Sky.
Yeah, but they're not here, are they?
We never get to play it. The problem is we never get to play it. What I would say, MnM, I can't reveal too much, but MnM, a team that we play on Sky regularly, of course, in scrims and so on, one of the only teams that will take us there, they're going to be very happy going here. I will tell you that much.
I think of this as I think MnM are happy with all 3 of these maps. They were previously known as a Kafe team. Recently, it's fallen out with their pool, so I see why Wolves would go for it. But they will be, like we said, this roster's been together forever. You know, the only roster not to make a change. So they'll be happy with Kafe. With the Sky, like you say, I think they're one of the best teams on Sky at this map. you've got to ban your Azami against Nello on that map because he is so good. When they get onto the defense, he's so good on Azami. And Chalet as a decider, I think this shows intent from both teams. I think Wolves are, maybe saving some stuff back for Invitational. I think MnM want to win this because that's 3 maps for MnM there that they like. Chalet, they had not lost Chalet in over a year until the major. They love that map. It's their number 1 preference and it's going to be the decider. So I think that the maps certainly suit MnM.
Okay, so Wolves, from what I understand, again, I'm only gathering the information as you give me because I don't know anything about this. Kafe Dostoevsky is the first map. Should Wolves not take map 1 and be able maybe to close it into 2-0, it might lead to a tough map 3 where MnM has a chance to really go under their skin and actually take the win. But you spent the past 5 or so minutes talking about Wolves and their teamwork, and Kafe also, and especially Skyscraper and Chalet, require a lot of teamwork to function properly.
I think in terms of teamwork and the overall roster, I think Wolves are at a slightly higher level than what MnM are at right now. But I think the maps potentially makes that much more 50-50 because the maps definitely suit MnM. I think Wolves would have to do it 2-0. I think if it goes to Chalet, I think MnM probably take it.
Okay.
I'm not going to entirely say I agree.
No, you can say he's wrong. That's
I
okay.
understand the premise of it. I do understand the premise of it. I just think you can't count Wolves out if they go a map down.
Sure.
You can't count them down if they go a map down. Again, this is good maps for them as well. I think what we've seen here is 2 teams that aren't really afraid to take each other to their good maps.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen preference bans gone here. I think they've just got rid of maps that they didn't fancy playing themselves.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of siege that I love to see. That's why I love best of 3 format. That's why I love best of 5 format. You see teams at their best. And I hope that's what we'll see today.
So to talk about it in a more strategic way, what really sets apart these 2 teams on Kafe Dostoevsky? Because you're talking about map selection, how you can play with certain operator bands to play that to your advantage. But what are power positions that either MnM or Wolves are really good at controlling on Kafe that allows them to be successful on it?
Well, it's interesting, especially Tyrant. I know Tyrant on Kafe loves to play that Nook. I know, we've got a lot of players in the league that we consider Nook mains.
Yeah.
But Tyrant particularly has some routes that he takes that I would say are non-standard. You think of Kafe, you go up to the top floor, you start at top red for everything, and you work your way through. Whereas Tyrant is quite creative with the way he's in. I've seen him go in dining window before, on a top floor attack, whatever he does. So I think, you're potentially looking at your operator bands, taking that Nook out, probably taking some kind of Azami, Solace, or Valk out. And again, it's going to be curious to see which team plays around whichever one of them is left up as well. And I think the team that's probably most adaptable, because Kafe, if you think about how it's droned, for example, all the drones have to usually start at the basement. If a Solace is down there in 10 seconds, goodbye to all your drones. How slow the attacks could then be?
Yeah, it's a regular competitive sort of trick on this map to get drones in early because there's like sort of a lack of drone holes and you have to take it from top down. You'll pretty much pick your spawn to be by that white side, send your drones into the garage, but can you do that when Solace is going to be running there and checking for it? Can you leave drones on staircases to check it? I think, obviously, we don't know if she's going to be in or not yet. If we're talking purely strategically, like you asked, I think MnM on this map will be considerably slower, play on windows more, than Wolves will. It's if Wolves, they do have the experience, of course, but it's if players like Mowgli can win that first fight, that first instance where you get into the building, where you repel into piano, you drop red, you take cigar. Whoever wins that fight for me, that's going to be really important here.
Any site that MnM is going to struggle with maybe on the defense? This is after you talking, Tristan, about, well, they're going to maybe on attack play more in the windows. Maybe this is something that has to be considered.
Struggling to attack, I don't know, to be honest. I think both of these teams will have it in them to attack this map, but both of the teams like the map. I don't think they would have gone to it if they were going to struggle with it.
I think we're hoping to... Sorry.
Yeah, anything in particular? I don't think so. I think if they struggle on one of the bomb sites, again, it's a map where you can pick all 4 realistically. Yep. So it's not as much of a problem as, say, another map where you can't do that. Yeah, I don't know. I personally wouldn't pick anything in particular that I think these teams are bad at on this map.
Yeah, I think our expectation is that you normally see Kafe where both teams are either really good at it or both teams don't like it, and it's gone there in the best of 1. I think we're expecting to see quite an explosive Kafe to day out with these 2 teams. Wolves will have an increased pace on MnM, but MnM, it's slower. It's a little bit more, dare I say, methodical. It's a little bit more considered, their play. So in terms of when they're on the attacks, it's going to look slightly different. I think Wolves, maybe if they push the boundaries of that explosion, maybe try some rushes, try some fast plays, some, maybe shield play, might take a slight edge on their attacking half.
Look, if Solace is banned, and this is again more of a general topic. We're still waiting on almost all players in the lobby now, so we'll be in just a moment. Thank you very much for holding on with us. But given the consideration of how strong Solis is as an operator and how she's been performing in scrims all over, if she's banned on Kafe, what other operator would be allowed to shine that normally would be banned on the defensive side of
For
Kafe?
me, this is an easy one, and that's going to be Valkyrie and P4. We experienced that ourselves. P4 and Valkyrie on this map, or I mean, any map really. He's a very strong player with the Valkyrie. I know you can't put the cameras outside anymore, so you can't judge your runouts as well, but things like Cigar Shop, the huge pillar section that we have on the map, the bakery itself, there's a lot of places you can sort of hide it. And something we actually haven't spoken about with the changes this season is that you can change the color of the Valk camps. You can change the color of it. So maybe some of these hidden spots won't work as well anymore. We don't know. It depends how the players have their settings. But I think Valkyrie's going to be very good here if she's in play.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, if we are assuming Solis is banned by one of these two teams, because I think she has to be, like we say, given how strong it is for the drones in the prep phase. So if Solis is banned, then it is a Valkyrie or an Azami. So you talk about how good Valkyrie is. Try dealing with Azami when you drop in top red and there's these Azami shields everywhere, and you get to the teams that want to play that utility soak with the Jaeger Wamai, Azami, a Rooney, and you just suddenly you're like, oh, we can take top red, but nothing else for 2.5 minutes. I think we might be. Kafe is going to play out a little bit more, or in general, this is a more general topic, maybe not these two teams, a little bit more defender-sided.
All right, and as you finish the sentence, Jack, we just got the info that our lobby is ready. So thank you very much all for holding on with us through all the technical issues, but we're ready to go for MnM versus Wolves. Thank you very much, Jack and Daxter, Tristan here on the desk. I know Hap is going to be laughing at that maybe, but he is on the other side with Emmy, of course, so enjoy game number 1.
I don't laugh.
Thank you very much, Mila. She doesn't laugh. Doesn't laugh. It's me,
No.
Emmy, and it's Hap. And they've given us loads of things that we can hate each other because it's the holiday season.
I just have new glasses.
I know. I'm sorry.
I came
Hi,
prepared,
welcome. Yeah, we're here. It's lovely to have Tristan on the desk as well. I like how they've really tried to help him in because on the 2-shot, it looks like he has cat ears with the logo behind him, and I think that's a really nice touch that he'll appreciate.
Very nice.
Very thankfully from the side of that. But what we also have ahead of us is this Wolves versus MnM. And as Des put it in our group chat, he said, Core, Sky and Chalet, it really is Christmas, isn't it?
We'll get to find out if we're even going to get all those maps or if it is going to be limited to 2. Now, these two teams have played each other on Kafe recently. That was the Stage 3 game they played. 7-2 victory back down for Wolves. But, as mentioned before, there's new operators or a new operator on the field. And that might change things
I
up a
really
little bit.
don't want Solis to be banned.
I really want Solis to be
I
played.
want to see some play. I want to be Tret to a Christmas treat.
That past tense or treating.
I want to be Tret to a treat. I want a little treat. Twitch be removed.
The bans are not default so
No,
far.
this is far from default. I would go as far as to describe this as funky.
Yeah, I always want to be a bit careful with using the word funky, until we have all 4 bans in.
Yeah, it has the chance. It's worth sort of considering. Obviously, there's prize pool and there's bragging rights.
Okay, we're doing well so far.
Come on. Everybody hush. Everybody shut up. Shut up, everybody.
Be quiet. Wolves, are you going to be deal breaker?
Wolves, be cool.
The Grinch.
Wolves, be cool. Be cool, guys.
Oh, yes!
Yeah, all right.
Possibly. I mean, they still need to pick it.
They still might.
Who knows?
They're laughing. They knew. Okay, this is a band selection I don't think...
No, this is definitely funky.
This you've never seen. I would go as far as to say these 4 operators banned like this never happened before in a Tier 1 game.
No Solace, by the way, so far. There's also no repicks for defense.
Yeah.
So,
There's
no Solace round 1.
No Solis round 1.
It's not being played yet.
Turn it off. Cancel the stream.
Cancel the stream.
Cancel the
Game
day.
is over.
All right. No, this is the sort of thing. And if you're trying to break down, Wamai being I would say is maybe the most standard ban in terms of
Yes, it's the most common
removal
one.
here. You've got the play around sort of pixel corner. You've got what turns into a lot of backline holds. If you're sort of holding down in library, you'll still set yourself and stack up towards the top and sort of try and wait and bait as much time as possible. Maestro, the Alder, can be used very well if I'm going to flip instantly over to the other side and think, you know, there are positions, the bubbles as well. It's not that he's been the biggest detriment, but he usually sits in a pocket in a situation for a lot of teams between utilizing either him or Echo, where they sort of hands off a little bit. Valk, we're going to see that a lot. We're going to see that a lot from P4. But, you know.
I mean, Maestro is one of those operators that doesn't often get banned, but you know, he's always still on the board.
Yeah,
he's always
exactly.
able to do a lot. So, you know, it is still good to see a bit of a change in those bans coming through. The thing is, though, we have Azami and Valkyrie open. Both of them were being highlighted as a potential second ban if Solace would be removed. Now both are in the field. The Storm takes a small amount of damage. That's the first grenade to be popped, but an ADS will be denying that.
Yeah, there it is. As I said, it's sort of holding on. That grenade bounced over the top, gets that first bit of solid. The C4 means they can't quite swing onto that. There's the fight, though, on the back rise. He's able to do a lot of damage towards Tyrant, who's trying to hold onto this window as best as possible. Another keeper barrier goes up, and that's a lot dedicated, and nobody has been caught out from it as of yet. The damage being done from the top hatch. P4 has the cover onto Solotov. Gets taken off, and there's Rise with the other window. Goes for the hop out. There's one more. Caught out at the end of it. This Claymore was just able to find the tail end. They did pick out P4. They got the two bodies that were inside for all the pressure that they put onto it, but it does just leave Usus and Neo.
And they're left with 3 EE1Ds, but also a double frag grenade on users. That's what they have to work with here. The first one is to be tossed in, but taken out by an ADS. Now, they should know that's going to be clear because they've spotted out some other ADSs earlier. Still trying to find out where these players are going to be located. He's on this drone. He's spotting out the one on the balcony first, gets the spot out, but still two players unknown for that they need to isolate first because they cannot just rush in.
A minute now, ticking away, and Usus is going for a bit of a spread onto the other side. There's the call on the reveal. They know the pressure's coming across here, and they've sort of diversified it. Puts them in a bit of a tricky situation, but Neo gifted a Mowgli retreating back in, tried to pull away from Usus on the swing through, puts us into the 2 versus 2. The pings are there. Bibu is well aware of the position of the player, and they're either side of the new Balk, but they have 50 seconds. Who's going to try and take the momentum on the first swing? The rotation's coming around on the back. Shinka, he might be able to get a surprise strike here. He goes a bit too high. There's a C4 to reveal the prize. Caught out. Great bit of play. Users suddenly all alone on the far end. No kid in pocket, no grenades either. They have the awareness. The Valcam's giving all the game away on the location. There it is. But with one to his left and one to his right, he's in the middle of a French pain sandwich, and well, he's got to do something supernatural here to try and get it out. There's the first. There's the second. Users!
Whiff shots coming through from the MK14, allowing him to choose his battles wisely. Gets that 1v2 clutch. Round 1, MnM. They win that one. And instantly we go back into a small little break right here. The moment to come back to rest, because that was a very stressful round for MnM.
That was a very stressful round.
I mean, it started off with piano.
Round. It started off with a really aggressive piano.
With a lot of kills coming down there. 5 in total, really, from just that one spot in the windows. And after that, you know, Wolves, they had the advantage, but they kind of gifted it towards MnM. Mowgli sneaking around the bar that has been opened up fully. Just allow them to see through. Don't know if it's a lack of information or some miscommunication, but MnM, they perfectly utilized it. And also, this first couple of shots coming in from the MK14, them missing. He's like, okay, that's one of Freezer. The other one is coming from Cigar. I can go for the Cigar person first because, well, otherwise it would have been dead by now. So well done. As the replays come through. Get to see it all over again. Yeah, P4 just died from Hibana. Upside down repelled as Rise jumped down, and of course the Claymore afterwards.
It sounds very weird in slow mo, the Claymore.
It does.
Oh my god, Usus got so low as well.
It was just a single shot of either of those two players would have done it.
It was a very engaging first round.
It was.
It was a very explosive first round. There was... I mean, I feel like today you know, obviously the big prize is SI.
Yes,
A couple
and
months away.
sadly, this doesn't provide you anything towards the
It doesn't, it
Invitational.
doesn't.
It is just a nice Phoenix trophy we have at the end.
It's that little dab of T1 Siege before we have a holiday for a month.
Uh-huh.
Doing anything nice for it?
Personally, just gonna go over to the families, you know,
Oh.
do some nice holidays, have some good food.
Delicious.
Not quite sure yet what I'm gonna do the entirety of January. I mean, my birthday comes up then.
Yeah.
So
You could, I guess, celebrate that. My birthday's in like a week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I share the same birthday
Celebrate
with
that
Milos.
as well. Yeah, you do. Like, it's a funny story, actually. Milos, last year, he was like, it's my birthday today. And then a day later, he's like, it's actually today. He's got his own birthday mix.
He's like the Queen. He celebrates 2 birthdays.
Yeah.
But he's done it badly and put them right next to each other. We'll be back into the game in a moment. Apologies for this, everybody. We're just making sure that everything is all peachy, smoothed out. I hope you're all enjoying the holiday festive season back at home, however you celebrate it, if at all. And if not, well, you're probably going to be disappointed by how our set is dressed today. Very holiday
It's very
theme.
holiday.
There's also a gnome. Jacob, if you're listening, if you're watching, that's a gift from Medics and Easy.
I think for next year, we should up it a bit, like putting actual snow inside as well.
I don't know if they would appreciate that with the amount of electronics.
It's just
There's lights in the floor
I know.
that are Christmas themed. They're candy cane themed.
Yeah, they are. Red and green.
Yeah, those are the colors. Famous.
What about fake snow falling, like,
Maybe. If you're listening,
just
Ubisoft.
just trying to
Anyway.
love snow? There is the
There's the gnome.
You've all been gnomed.
Get a gnome. Yeah, that's dedicated to everybody out there, but specifically
Jacob.
from production.
Yeah.
Not Caliber Jacob, I don't.
No.
He can
Not
be
Caliber
gnomed as well
Jacob.
there if he wants.
Probably has been.
Happy holidays. Anyway, obviously, the winner of this best of 3 goes on to tomorrow.
Gets to the grand finals.
Get the grand finals. And later on today, BDS, reigning major champions.
Uh-huh. Had a rough start of the year.
We had a rough start of the year.
Had to make some changes for
Yeah.
first time in forever. And instantly found success. It's funny that, like, we've had it with Rogue Stage 2 with Spoit coming into the roster, instantly winning the major. Now Ligafac joining the roster,
Yeah.
instantly winning the major. So I'm
2 for
wondering
2
if,
on rookie swing.
yeah, I wonder if we're going to have any teams, you know, pick someone up like a rookie for the 6th Invitational just to secure the title. I hear some sound in the background,
I hear some background sound.
and that makes me believe that we are getting back into the game very soon.
Do you believe?
I do believe, yes.
Da, 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 da. I can't. I don't know what.
Solace!
Solace! All right, locked in as well.
Not locked, but
Well, there's a tick there.
there is a tick there. It means they're waiting in the screen. Now it's going to be locked.
We're going to follow Solace.
Yeah, we're going to see the engaging gameplay.
We're going to see some engaging gameplay. If you do not know what Solace does,
Go
well,
first person? Yes.
this. They have the ability to track electronics. Boy, howdy, are they going to get tracked. Uses his drone caught outside. They're going to make sure that none of them are able to slip their way through, get themselves prepped up and stepped. And it sort of says with drones, it's like, well, we can't even just sit them inside. Look at this. They have to wait. They have to be a distance away, and they have to try and drive them in because it's a ground floor site as well. If you're able to maybe slink your way up 2 flights of stairs, okay, you'll be out of that detection range. 1 floor above, they can still see you. They'll still be able to get that based on the distance, I believe, on Kafe. It's just within.
The range on Solace is insane compared to Pulse, for example, which is off.
So look at this.
Yeah, she's solid
There's
right now.
no way that they can get them inside the building. They have to sit and wait outside. My God, that's scary. A big part of it. It used to be something that Prime GT said is if we lose like 1 or 2 of our drones during the droning phase in terms of getting in position, we've lost the droning phase. We've lost that. Solace means that you can't even play that game anymore.
And even when you get into the round, all he has to do with Solace P4 is just activate it, scan around, do a little 360. No active droning going on right now. You can go back to whatever you're doing. And especially like being a roamer like that, he knows exactly when it's going to be spotted unless there's a Jackal on the board, which is what Tyrant is bringing right now. So there's definitely going to be some pings, and I think that's going to be quite useful. Phone there spotted as well, so aware of someone being out there on the eastern side. First just lining himself up for any jump outs.
That's it, because you also get the awareness of who is droning. You'll see anybody utilizing their electronics. There's some funky interactions with people like Lion as well at the minute when they're activating that gadget. And I guess this is the split, though. They know that Hibana was sitting around here. Hibana's able to win out the fight. Rise gets put back down on brown stairs, and they've rotated themselves back towards the site. They went all in on the hunt there. They made sure that they had all the lockdown off. They sort of said, you have one clean route out, and that's white, and if you don't take it now, then we're going to come and fight you. They took it, but here's also a very cool thing. Look at that under Rise's name.
Yeah, it says whose camera he is watching, so because there's multiple bulletproof opportunities to bring, it says it's the Bibu camera he was watching. Now he's watching the one of P4. You see that swap over there as well.
We saw where the P4 one was deployed. Not the
we saw that one.
Intense information, unless you remember who placed it, but it's cool.
It is a little bit of an extra that we usually did not have. So, as we go back to what's actually happening, a lot of opening, a lot of explosives, a lot of shotgun shells going through, hoping to find an extra opening, and they find exactly that. Shinka taken down. See, there's some Excaliburs going off right there as well. So P4 deciding that it's time for him to try and see if he can get back up top and do something about these, well, clearers up on the top floor.
Able to check that there's sort of no one watching an active drone there on the rotation. You have to actively hold it off, and here there's another bit of reveal. That drone's going to try and wear its way around, and again he knows exactly where it's placed. There's the fight through the scrap of the med orbit with 30 seconds and a two-body advantage. They've got to make a move. Solotov, he's able to get one more. There's the fight above. P4, he's trying to bite his way back in. There's one more player, so he's going to maybe rotate up once more as Hibana goes for the plant under the quick cover. They're back down. The pings are coming through. There's the hot reveal. There's the watch. It's a rotate round. The first fight is Solotov's to win out. And with Bibu blinded outside the site itself, they know where he is. He's under intense pressure. It's an MnM round.
Well done by MnM there. I think they realized the issue quickly, found out Solace is on the board, kept their drones outside, made sure they had that Jekyll, which they then used to, of course, get rid of Solace, or at least send her back downstairs, so they don't really have to worry about it anymore. Still saw a bit of a flank on the back of the utility she brings, but it wasn't round defining in the end. MnM managed to take enough ground, managed to actually get that diffuser down without any real trouble. So, well done by them. And that makes them lead 2-0 here in Kafe. Back up to the top floor now. Wolves wanting to play that one out. Seeing the Valkyrie on the board, Mowgli playing it. Mara now as well, to see if that may be giving them a little bit of extra security later on in the round, because, you know, they won the initial phase near Piano, but after that, when the site was being attacked, they did not really have anything left in pocket to secure themselves. Found themselves being picked up one by one by the remaining players of MnM. So the mirror might be providing some extra stability, also making sure you hold off towards the Piano that way. Just long lines of sight that need to be dealt with from outside by MnM.
There was a bit of a false start for Solace. We did see her do some cool Solace things.
Yeah, we saw the gadget in action.
We saw the gadget in action.
Just haven't seen the big impact it could have.
Yeah, they got a kill. Okay. Enough about that. Back to the top. And this started explosive. It started with a huge amount of heat around the position the Azami was locked in. There is obviously a change there, and they're not going to set up such an aggressive hold there as well. They've pulled back. The Valk is now in different pockets and different hands. They've got themselves set up around Pixel with what is the traditional hold here. There's the mute jammer to stop a Flores drone getting maybe a bit too close if that was the play employed. There's also the stop and the chance with any of those throwables. They're going to see if they can swing back into it and clips the wing of Solotov, who can take these fights, and they're feeling it today, but they need a little bit more support, I think, first.
Oh, beautiful shot, taking him off. That's one last window to worry about, at least for now, because there is a second player ready to repel next to it. Nello, I believe it is, just hanging next to it. Yeah, just waiting for some support. Probably wants to be opening up from red towards Piano to get themselves an extra way in. But Mowgli's blocking that for now. They know that it's not going to be quite safe to use those windows, get rid of any other piece of utility. Flashbangs coming through. They're hoping to waste the ADSs. They're dodging that, but now they need to get rid of the shield, and I don't think they can.
They've got, obviously, Tyrant just playing on the back end, maybe hoping they're getting a catch. The ADS has popped back into life, though. And at this point, if you're just watching and waiting for that rotate, well, look who's sitting at the top of white. Shinka. They have the support in case Tyrant decides to get a little bit edgy, and they've got a C4 ripped and ready to go. They want to clip that just on the inside of the window frame. It's a bit of a hold, and all of it is around pixel position that they cannot clear from the front end. As you said, they used so much utility, but they did not have that last little bit of the drive behind it. So it's turned into this. A bit of a Mexican standoff, waiting for the first person to make a move, and who feels lucky? Punk.
Tyrant is sitting so quietly up on that rappel there, doesn't want to give away any noise, but drones are coming in the reading room here. That should be the spotted out. Jaeger uses right next to it to reply, finds the kill as well, brings it back to a 4-on-4, now has the opportunity to go for some grenades from below as Tyrant takes out that C4, doesn't get picked up by it, but it is enough to force him off that rappel.
It did get the rotate through from the side here of Wolves. They've pulled themselves back in. Mowgli's on the back end of site. They've handed it over, and with 30 seconds, they're sort of saying, let's build this back line. They haven't cleared anything else. The Sledge, he's going to see if he can try and do some damage from underneath. Tyrant's going to see if he can maybe rotate up towards the fight onto Shinka, who's holding close. You can't move too quick in these engagements as a mirror, so you got to make sure the connection comes through and the vector can be accurate. That grenade just slips out of the way after getting the kill. 15 seconds, Nello, he's dug in on the site, but he wants a little bit more. Does not see the position of the player around on the chassis. Neo's all that's left, not for long. Wolves take a round back.
Well done by Wolves, and again here a lot of pressure from them onto the initial piano, and you saw that MnM wanted to take it, but that first initial kill from Mowgli from that shield, just taking a clean head off, it just removes a lot of that pressure suddenly, because you basically have nothing in return. They try to get rid of the shield, but not really having the utility to do so. It is quite difficult for MnM to break through at that point. And that just removes a whole lot of the actual upstairs area that you would have available to yourselves. Suddenly all you can do is just push him from Cigar, you can push him from the white stairs. That's the two safe areas they managed to create for themselves, and that's just not going to be enough. So Wolves, they found their first defensive round.
You can see who's watching who's drone as well. So we know Tyrant has lost his drone at this point.
Well, I mean, technically you can also get off your drone.
Yeah, but there's 4-0. Now there's 3-0. Who else lost their drone?
Is that P4 doing it? It must be, because he's playing Solace.
Yeah, so Users and Tyrant lost their drones. It's so not important, this detail, but it's a detail that the people who like it are like, oh.
5 seconds remaining.
Oh, I know who's lost their drone now.
Let's can see that. So, of course, you can just wait until the action phase to see the little axes as well. But
Yeah.
P4 again with the Solace on a bit of a roamy roll, is a bit detached from the site. But that's of course due to the fact that the gadget Solace brings easily allows it to basically take care of yourself. You can find out if you're being droned in. You can find out if anybody is close to you like that. I also found out as soon as you pick up the gadget into your hand, you're already being able to be spotted. So, for example, a fuse that will place it down on the ground, you can already double impact it before it's even down on the ground. So, it offers a lot of opportunity for the player on the Solace.
Caution paid towards the potential jump out aggression. But as caution is being paid, Solus is the one that's more than happy to try and pay it a bit of mind back towards it. That drone, well, you don't need fancy specs to see that, and unfortunately couldn't quite get the connection on the kill. They just pulled themselves back. It's a bit of a force of movement, but they keep the utility for now. The rest of the pressure's coming here across the top. As we said, it's sort of a backline bastion hold. You try and force as much time and utility drive here towards the back end as possible, and that's what Solotov is seeing if he can break across. The bulletproof will get removed on the opposite swing round, but there's this one still on the back end, being a bit of a troublemaker towards those drones.
Didn't actually get the bulletproof there with the Ash charge, so it's still up and has an opportunity to fire EMPs down. So instead, a grenade will be used from Yana now, tossed around the corner. We'll finally get it as the final EMP pulse came down, but that is just that top floor. They still need to descend one. C4 to be tossed up, small amounts of damage done to Neo. It's Tyrant that is making some ground. It's headed over towards the white stairs to get away users, hoping to make sure the top floor is going to be cleared. As P4 gets picked up, that's the Solace gone. Drones now can safely, well, travel around the map again without being spotted out that early.
Oh, Mowgli takes the head and the cap off of Neo, brings it back to a 4 versus 4, a minute on, and they've been able to try and drive some of the control here over the top. They haven't entirely fished him out. Bibu is the last to sort of set himself up in this position. They're going to try and get some of the stretch, and they've obviously got the X-Kairos prepped and ready to make that a tricky situation, but they have to make sure that they can move behind it. And that is exactly what the preparation is here underneath. Buried pushback. Bibu drops out, and Solotov drops one with Mowgli once again finding a quick response. Solotov round on the back with Nello, and suddenly it's only Bibu left. He took the first rotate, finds himself on the wrong side of Fireplace, but if he can creep up and get one more catch here, suddenly he might have a chance at a bit of a surprise. They are still holding on, and the kit does still need to make its way towards the site to get a plant off at this moment in time. The first drop, the first fight is Nello's. And MnM, they are able to get one more round back on their end.
Just making sure that they maintain their lead. They were able to build up right after the rehost. As we head to round 5, MnM truly showing that last time's Kafe, which was won by Wolves quite handily, was just, I'm going to say it, fluke.
Hey, that's me.
Yeah, that is you. Sadly, doesn't work with my name.
12 euros.
Oh, I
Per
didn't know.
usage. Yeah, I've copyrighted it. In the break since the last time we were here between you, I've copyrighted some things.
Oh.
There's a selection of words if you say them. I also copyrighted words that other people say. So now if Des and Tim say laser gates or shut down, that's I've copyrighted that. I thought I would take the initiative.
You're just going to be making loads of bank like that, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I'm going to donate it all to Tim's charity walk.
That's very kind of you.
Yeah, well, it's Christmas.
Festive spirits.
Ho, ho, ho.
Round 5. Solace, that is being played by P4. Okay, I'm just going to say it. I don't think it has been that impactful yet.
No, it hasn't.
There's been maybe 2-3 drones who've been shot out on the back of the Solace so far. Might have just added an extra one to that. And yes, P4 is getting a lot of information about what's happening around it, but maybe he has been looking at it himself too much, being a bit too distracted by it, because he hasn't been winning gunfights on the back of it. He's been isolated quite often with that Solace, not really being able to do the impact that he wanted to go for. So, I mean, it's still early. It's still the first game that we're seeing Solace being played in Tier 1 here, so, you know, it is early days.
Sensor on.
Requires something. This, okay, I'm just going to say, is C4 out of the skylight now? That would have been absolutely grand.
Sensor active.
Knew someone was out there droning. So maybe we need to pair up with someone.
Maybe. I think that could be a bit of a difference maker, and I think if you're talking about pairing up with someone to put the drive, that's sort of what MnM have done to shut it down. The use of the Jackal alongside what was, in the previous rounds, the majority of MnM.
Yeah.
Backed that Jackal, made sure they had some support and some swing round. You can see it now as the pressure comes across one side towards the actual bar. You've got the Jackal pushing the opposite. You've still got drones whirring out from the far end. They've got themselves in pillars too. They're making sure that there's no route out. And they can't take it, and they have to drop back. Solace cannot take those fights entirely by themselves. They need to get themselves back to site. It's clever here from MnM to sort of realize the danger Solace could pose, and instead of risking anything else, going, let's get her off the board to a position where we know where she is, and then we don't have to worry.
I mean, Jackal is like the perfect counter to Solace as well, right? It's like, he can't get drones in, we'll just get footsteps instead. We'll still get the live ping on that operator. So, again, very smart usage here from MnM. And, you know, Jackal often banned in ranked games, less so in of course, professional games. That allows for this kind of play to come through right now, as Users very busy with opening up P4. It's going to be exposed quite a bit, needs to stay put right behind his reinforced wall, but soon that starts opening up as well. Soon above him, there's going to be holes created as well that Users can use against them. Is that a drop? Or is it Gemini? Okay, I was going to say, it's very quick.
Gemini goes through. They're going to see if they can try and catch the close position player. And P4 takes a lot of damage, but Mowgli's able to pick up Neo on the far end. I think he's sort of hoping he can double down, but with that, the reveal of the player, the second, might come through not far afterwards. In fact, they take the drop. They're going to swing. The players rotated around the opposite end. P4 does get caught out by Users just in time. They do not have control of Cocktail. Rise is still in that position, trying to throw smokes out, but with the one blocking his view, he cannot quite act. They have this, a backline, a bit of a rotation as they're going for the plant. They know how close that player is. No, Mowgli gets one, gets dropped in the trade out. 15 seconds, though. That grenade's going to roll off. Solotov, he gets an important take. Tyrant, maybe one that's a little bit more. They've got the kit, the tucked round on the corner. They've got to find the cover. Shinka just has to get this. The man
no
that's going for the plant, he finds it out. He's looking for the next. Shinka, he tucks himself down. What a round!
What was the cover? There was one man planting, one all the way in the back and one up top, but the entrances not covered. That is the moment you want to be horizontal. That is the moment when you want to be able to take those gunfights head on. Especially after he's given away his position earlier on. So Wolves able to get away with that. Beautifully played, but MnM, they should have been able to lock that one out and make this 4-1. So the bottom floor, the bakery goes to Wolves. Meaning one more round as we currently stand back up to the top floor. You see it, like they already knew Shinka was pushing at this moment.
He didn't, I don't think at the time he realized how free that was. He takes the scrap of damage. There was somebody watching from above that wasn't watching the most important time, which was when he made the cross. He was gifted that.
Yana ran past. At that moment, shots were being fired at Yana, so you should have been aware that someone was, you know, at that part of the bakery. Now, that could be miscommunication. That might have just been not realized at all, something like along those lines, but the cover just not on point. And I get it, Yana needed to go for a plant because there was only 5 seconds left, and you kind of want to do that as soon as you possibly can in that matter. But planting when there's no cover, that is potentially what could have cost him there. Maybe you could have waited an extra second or two and see if you could have taken the fire, but if you then die, the diffuser drops on the ground and, well, you lose either way. So well done by Wolves. And let's see if MnM is going to be able to find themselves an extra round.
God, that really is that MnM thing, innit? When a round that should have been theirs ends up not being a quick take with the Ossa. And Ossa's quickly taken, but they did get at least 1 kill out of it. I think they went for something. It's a bit of a cheeky gambit there and didn't quite pay off. Quick reactions. Neo off the board first here. They put the pressure there onto White. They're going to pull themselves back. The eyes towards that player positioned onto the opposite side of the mirror window on the top deck. Nello is creeping his way underneath, replacing. I think the Ossa being caught out mid sort of shield rotation might be the cause here, but Solotov, he's going to be cause for concern. Does not win the fight, Mowgli. Just enough awareness to get that locked in there over the opposite side of Piano. P4's got a backline. MnM, they're finding themselves stalling a little bit here on this. The approach round, the prep of the grenades, the flashes onto the back of Rise. Roll over. And Rise rolls down.
3-3, MnM managing to stay in this round. P4 still upstairs, though. Afraid of any potential push to coming from the east windows. Bibu below has the opportunity to shut down one of those repels, but there's going to be multiple options MnM could opt for. And one of them is going to be the skylight drop. User still holding on to that for now, but they lack a bit of information to actually fully commit to that. Don't exactly know where these players are going to be, and thus a drone pushes in. A new hatch drop comes through as well, and they hope to find out about at least one more player. And that might be Mowgli. He's about to go for the swing. Doesn't take any damage. Stays alive, takes his pixel shield. Falls back to a bit more of a secure position.
Yeah, he's still tucked in here with a lot of support structure for himself. You can see, as I said, MnM, they kind of came in with the plan A. Things fell apart a bit, and now it's turned into a 3 versus 3 brawl. But with the structure of that hold of Pixel and of these parts still put together, it becomes a little bit risky and looking for a rewardie here from the side of MnM. They've tucked onto the swing of the first. Users gets a second grenade. There's the jump out. Didn't get caught by the Claymore, but they know where Bibu is, so they can just do this. They have all the time in the world to get this plant put together. There's the repel back out towards the top as well. Why not? If you're being trapped to so much space, then take the space that's available. Nello, he's going to go for the rotate as well. Safe. Look what's in his pocket. All of his bolts. And this, I mean, I'm not going to say it's an impossible situation, but it's pretty much along that line here. Bibu knows it as well.
All he can do here is just try and go for a defuse, right? There's nothing else he could have done at that point. As soon as he jumped out, the round was basically already sealed. Because you can get that plan down, you can get back up on the roof without Bibu even being able to challenge that. So, well done by MnM there. They managed to continue skirmishing through. Find themselves with that 4th round in charge by 2. Headed over to the defense themselves. And this is where they need to hit the ground running as well. Because if they let Wolves get back in now, we know how Wolves can be on their attack. They will be able to still turn Kafe around, bring it into their own pockets, and find themselves with a map 1 victory. Now, MnM is opting to also not go for Solas round 1. And we have seen Solas in, I believe it was 3 of the rounds played. And, I mean, aside from one flank, which wasn't really even based on the back of that gadget, I haven't really seen the best of impacts yet. So, still hoping to see it from MnM's side as well. Maybe play with a with a buddy. Like, buddy team up. Make sure that you are going to be able to guide your friend on the back of the information you gain.
Everybody loves the buddy system.
I mean, that's kind of how you work with Pulse as well, right? Like, Pulse scouts out, he tells you he's going to be out there, gives the information to his team, and they act on it. It's kind of what makes that information game so strong.
Hey, I'll pose this question to you. I guess it's one that I'm also curious to hear what our desk thinks. What map do you think Solas is going to have potentially the biggest impact on?
I mean, I think that is going to be a map with tons of good hidden spots for drones. I instantly think of Villa. I think of Chalet.
I think of Chalet.
I think of Skyscraper, possibly. Like, if you have good spots where you can hide your drones, Solas is going to be a good counter to take out the first initial pre-placed drones. And because they're also very compact, you can also, like, basically stand in the middle, do a 360, know exactly where everybody's going to be droning from. So, with that, some Vulcan canisters spotted out.
360 no drone.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what we should call our ability, the 360 no drone.
All right, well, Tyrant's under a bit of pressure here. There's a slow and steady reveal of all the players that are set around. Bibu suffers half of the wrong end of a C4 tossed towards the window itself, but nobody's entirely been caught by that as of yet. There's a prep. They cannot quite get the run out underneath. There's the sound of the air jab, which will give that game away. There's Neo's game given away pretty quickly. They knew where they were putting that pressure. Tyrant does find one back, but look at this. The reveal, the pop, the swing, the drop. Mowgli, he had that watched pretty intently from the entire time. They do get control of the top, though. Here, Wolves, they've done it in about 1 minute 30, and they're going to get that last bit of clear. There's one player around White Stairs, Tyrant, who might try and creep his way back round, but otherwise, that was pretty aggressive, but pretty clear from Wolves.
Oh, Tyrant going for a little bit of an outside peek. Takes down Mowgli. It's going to be Yana gone, and another set of grenades. Leaves them with basically nothing left, except for using that skeleton key to start opening up vertically, hoping to find one of 2 of these players. Before currently out on the IQs, going to be taking out some of these black eyes. He hopes to do that, but I believe he's hitting the actual beam there, steel beam. Not going to be able to get rid of that completely. That means the information stays up for now. As time slowly ticks down, 50 seconds left on the board. It is Wolves that need to find themselves with an additional opening if they want to have an opportunity of getting that plant down. It's going to be quite hard because the operators left on the board, they are more, utility carrying. They start opening up walls and floors. Not really any of these grenades that, you had on Mowgli, for example, you could have used to try and get rid of one of these players.
30 seconds, and this is starting to turn into a familiar story of both these teams hitting heads. Very quick early aggression that peters out into situations like this. An even-handed 3 versus 3 for the final push onto the site with barely any time. Shinka, he's knocking on the door. Does he know that one's crouched just round? As soon as he goes for anything here on the plant, there it is. The pop, the reveal, the rotate back round. They're both so close, and neither knew. Here's the drop round, the rotate off into the far end. The kit is out of anybody's hands. There's a swing and a great take from P4. A quick response. He's panicking. But he went to hold F, and unfortunately, there was too much of MnM there. 5-2. They take their first defense.
I have to say for MnM, I don't know if you spotted it, but when you had Goyo sitting right behind the bookshelf, he was looking up through a vertical. There was a little bit of red from the Vulcan canister up on the top floor. So as soon as Buck started opening right above him, he opens that up. Suddenly, Buck cannot do any pressure onto you anymore. You can stop the plant from happening as that happens because, again, you're no longer under pressure because the direct angle he could use is now on fire. And they managed to find success in the back of it. Yeah, I hate it when that happens as well. It's not very pleasant. But a tactical timer called by Wolves as they realize they are 2 rounds away from losing the first map.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of highlighted as well on the desk. It's always great to have an active mind from the top tier scene because they can sort of give us sneaky little inroads into what's going on without accidentally revealing too much. And one of the ones that I'm super curious to see is how Skyscraper will handle for these 2 teams. And,
I'm very curious for Skyscraper now as well after what Tristan said.
Yeah, that's entirely it. When Milos was sort of saying nobody likes attacking, and Tristan goes, well.
We do, we're just not allowed, and I know of another team that likes to.
And, and as soon as somebody from that knowledge sort of says this, you go, okay, I want to see this.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's not that I don't trust the things that Thrasher and say. I do. They're great minds. But
at the same time, though,
at the
Tristan
same
is a big
time, yeah.
So he might just be trolling everybody.
However, maybe he's become less of a memer since he's
Very
gotten
true,
two
very true.
wonderful cats, and it's matured him.
The cats have
The
matured.
cats have matured him. Either way, the point of the story is it might be a more exciting middle map than what we're used to when seeing Skyscraper listed up, which sometimes turns into a little bit of a slow approach from attackers.
I don't know, you probably know. I don't know if the people at home know. But you can nowadays change the colors of the gadgets.
Yes.
Based on the team color. So a lot of people, what they've done is they've made themselves red and their opponents blue, which means that claymores and other lasers and lights are always going to be showing up as blue when you're dealing with your opponent. It's a bit of a tricky with your mind at the start, but it is easier to spot out compared to the lot of
That would
flooring.
mess me up. I remember when I first saw the Aruni gates as a different color.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Let alone claymores.
Let alone Claymore.
That meant, oh, that's going to be great. Instantly picked up, I believe, by an ADS.
Oh, yeah, but look at this. So much pressure. We saw Wolves do the same thing. They go for this very pinched approach on the first player.
Okay.
Tyrant is just tucked in safety. It's not the same as the mirror take towards the top floor on the previous round, but it's still just as pointed. Solotov, he's going to see if he can rotate, offer some support, but you have to realize how much of an isolated position that is.
Like actually what they did with the grenade there. Instead of throwing it into VIP, they tossed it into the little hallway next to it. So they knew there was not going to be an ADS on that side because they could see it otherwise from that garage. And managed to find a shield that way without giving the ADS a chance of actually taking out that nade. So I like that little bit of an adaptation we saw from Wolves there. Instead of, you know, just continue throwing grenades at the problem, hoping one would finally stick. Just find a different way to deploy it. Nello! Free kill onto Mowgli. Just drops in from the skylight. No drone at it. That's a free kill for MnM. And after Wolves, you know, commending them for doing such a great thing and taking care of that shield and, you know, releasing some of that pressure, they instantly lose an entry, find themselves under a bunch of more pressure.
Yeah, we're waiting for the swing now, but, I mean, time is on Nello's side here. He can sort of sit and wait it out for as long as he wants to. The drone's going to roll up. It almost slipped by him undetected, but look at this, the pressure round on the back end. They've got a player either side. He has to root himself out. He's found a corner. They might not know. Nello, look how much time he's wasting. Pre-fires and finds one, but finally shut down. P4 gets that, the quick response. But it was a quick response after a long delay.
Very sneaky there from Nello, just somehow bypassing the drones and the players for a perfect amount of time. There's only 30 seconds left now, Wolves. They need to execute with a man disadvantage here, and also not really having done any of the prep work they need to do. Tyrant comes in with a shotgun, blasts one away. That's Bibu off the board. P4 from Brownie. Knows one is going to be out there. Shink is going to be stuck in the freezer on the shelf because there's smoke canisters all around. He cannot check his corners as he goes. Still finds the kill onto Solotov though, but a fire pops off, and that is going to be making him even more stuck in his position he was.
Yeah, well, they lost one in amongst the fire. Uses down on the ground. It's a 2 versus nobody. The Echo Drone was watching as well throughout the end, and MnM, they win the round off the back of the Wolves timeout. They push themselves with a 4-round difference towards map point onto Kafe. And they've taken 2 of their defenses now, so they have the option to rotate back towards either of 2 places they've already won throughout this without taking this, for a lot of teams, the first pick site. Bar is where we might end it, or we might see the start of a comeback.
That's it. MnM having the opportunity to go for the full rotation here, find the full 3 before the sites start unlocking again, which is going to be their help, right? If they lose this one, okay, you know, then we have a site that we've previously won. That suddenly becomes available to us again. They shouldn't be worrying right now. Wolves, they've just used their timeout. They ran out of time on that last one. They really had to go for a bit of a Hail Mary push in the end. And now Solotov is on to the Solace as well. Spotted out a drone, but knows it's going to be like very far away. So he has to make some decisions here. Finds Mowgli's, and now they're going to be aware of the fact that Solace is on board as well. So the rest of the drones probably going to be moved out of the building as soon as possible to be salvaged and tossed in at a later time. You see it indeed. All of them are going to be outside. Not going to be anywhere near vulnerable to Solace. And Wolves will be retrieving them and then sending them back on their way. Small peek attempt here from Azami. Tyrant.
What are you trying here, Tyrant? What are you trying? Nothing's gifted. Bibu took a safer route through, sees the glass skittering and drifting in the wind from above and pulls himself back. They tried to sort of make an early statement there and it didn't quite work out, but still, to be fair, they've made a lot of statements across these rounds, and Wolves, they're suffering on the wrong end. We saw the first sort of body fall towards an undroned position, which then wasted pretty much another minute at another player getting the clear there. Here, maybe they're doing something a little tighter, a little bit more driven. Solotov, they have the reveal of that, the Claymore outside, the pop and the pressure. Look at just this. What an advert for the operator this is.
Knows exactly he cannot go for a jump out at this time unless he uses one of those impacts that he still has left to get rid of a Claymore. He just stays active below, just stays as a bit of a nuisance, has the opportunity, of course, to provide some vertical support as well, as the windows are going to be approached. The Styron is using Azami to restructure Piano. It's Nello that's giving away the information here of Mowgli about to be entering said room, trying to find the entry.
Yeah, that's it. The Valcams just getting all that intel. They talked about how powerful Solus and Valk can be, and here's a moment. Tyrant slips by. Solotov has Rise, though. There it is from underneath. Just got there in time to get the cover and maybe save the player's life. Took one in the meantime. Bibu's going to utilize this as the call to sort of push up, gets the head of Solotov. Back before they can get the rotate back round to site. Took care of a big problem player and a big problem operator for them. Can they try and find a drive behind it, though? That has been the part that's really seemed out of reach for Wolves this game.
They need to find it, but at least they are very close to the site. They're basically knocking on the front door here. The Siren is ready to go for the next engagement. Deals a little bit of damage to Bibu, but he stays alive for now. That's most important, but a C4 toss through will take care of Shinka instead. And it's again a man down for Wolves here as they need and are eyeing up for the execute. It's Mowgli that needs to be basically retrieving that kit and also start making that opening for the remainder of Wolves.
There's the opening. Bibu almost finds the second in a similar spot, but they seem to have some awareness here. But Mowgli, oh, I was going to say he got himself tucked in. Neo isn't going to fall for that surprise trick. There's Tyrant with a swing round. P4, all that's left, takes the blind man on the back end. 30 seconds. There's one on white, and the other's pulled himself back towards the corridor. They know where the kit is. They know that it's being watched as well. P4. He's bought himself a second of Sanctity and Silence. They've got a cross peek towards a single position. They've got the kit back, and where are you going to stick it, P4? 15 seconds. It's being watched with a bit of the drone cover. There's the movement. There's the swing round. They're cautious. There's the pop back up. The fight is Usis, and the game and the map is going to be for MnM.
MnM, they find the first, and after a 7-2 loss in stage 3, they take this one 7-2 themselves against the Wolves. That have literally gotten that revenge story, but it's not going to be completely over yet because there's still another map they need to win to advance to the finals of the European League.
And that's it. That's obviously the sort of meat of this, is that sometimes across the season it matters how you play on the important days. This MnM, it's been so good. It's been strict. It's been disciplined when it needs to be. It's been aggressive. And Wolves, they've seemed like they need a little bit of a moment to sort of put their heads together and say, okay, we got to sort this out. Talking of sorting things out.
What are we sorting out?
Let's go to a quick break before we find out what's been sorted out on the desk.
everybody. Welcome back. Seems like Kafe Dostoevsky has been torched by MnM, some Molotovs and marshmallows, as they say. But to talk about successes about the team that took an L, unfortunately, on map number 1 is our resident analyst, Anne. Go ahead.
Yes, exactly. I'm taking you back to the very first round of this map, where Wolves had a very good start of that first round, and I'll show you exactly what they did to acquire such a good start. We see Rise playing in the middle of Piano. We see P4 is also playing close to the clock area to help him assist in that powerful position, and we know how this part of the map is so important to gain control of as an attacker if you're attacking that upstairs objective. Well, Rise is set here with a few Kiba barriers, and MnM are trying to get rid of him. They're using some nades through the window where they realize, oh, there's a Jaeger, we've got to do something about it. Well, you have a range of gadgets that you can use to get rid of the Jaeger ADSs. You have the impact EMPs, you have another nade and another sets of nade coming from users. So, should be pretty easy to deal with. Unfortunately, they can't nade him from underneath because Rise has the angles to downstairs as well. He has that control, so he can't get naded from underneath. But unfortunately for MnM, they use another nade, getting rid of the Kiba barrier, which is okay, but you haven't got rid of the player yet. But to deny MnM from swinging at that exact moment, we see a C4 being tossed by P4 onto the window frame, so the player on that window can't immediately peek after when the cover is gone. This allows Rise to then put up another Kiba barrier, the ADS to recharge, and MnM still haven't dealt with that player that is still sit in this side of the objective. On the other side, we have a player on the hatch, we have a player on the window trying to also hold off those two positions, but P4 swings at a really good timing to the player that is on the window, and Rise even gets away with a jump out, where he unfortunately dies to a Claymore, but if you look at the time, they've wasted that piano part for an entire minute, and they've gotten 2 kills with it, so a very good trade in my opinion for Wolves.
Thank you very much. And on the telestration section for this matchup, at least we're back. Hello, Tristan, Jack. That was a very fast map number 1, I have to say. And MnM made Wolves look like chumps, I have to say. This was an unexpected result.
It really was as well, considering that it was Wolves' map pick as well. They picked into it. They thought, oh, MnM are going to, they haven't liked it. It's been a low preference map for, especially in terms of recent history for MnM. And MnM just showed why. That they are, they are always known as a Kafe team. Long time they've been known as a very good Kafe team. And I think you play with fire, like you said, Milos, you get burnt.
Yeah, I mean, they made real light work of it. It was a very quick game, like you said. I think our analyst segment might have been a little bit longer than the match was, sadly, for Wolves.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, Wolves even played the Solace. They played the Izami. They played the Valkyrie. Couldn't get rounds on the board. I think to lose 4 Kafe defends is really not a position you want to see yourselves in. And then one of the rounds that they did win was a clutch from Shinka, an amazing clutch. We were all gasping at it, the 1v3 on the kitchen.
Yep.
Just a really bad showing from them. Like, I expected them to be a bit quicker, like Anne said, with getting into piano, getting control of things, but they just couldn't do it.
Yeah, Jack, do you want to say something?
I was just going to say, I thought MnM, I said about with the map bans, the fact that the map bans lent towards MnM for me. I think MnM, with finals, it's always going to be a curious one because these teams are playing 6 Invitational. Yep. These teams are going to be playing that game of, as much as, it becomes
saving strats?
They're saving strats, they're saving maps, they're saving things, joke, if you will. I think Wolves potentially are trying to hold something a little bit back, but MnM look like they're here with intent because they were going through the processes. Nothing was out of picture. Nothing was. Maybe the bans were a little bit funky, but the actual gameplay style from MnM was classic MnM that we're expecting to see. And I think they put out a statement of intent in that map 1 that they're here and they're here to win this.
I still loved seeing the Valkyrie. Not gonna lie, it was very well utilized by Wolves, but unfortunately, it's not enough. MnM take map number 1, and just to kind of give everybody a heads up on how things change. If you win this best of 3, then you double your winnings. You go from making 12,500 euros to 25,000 euros, which I know Liquipita tries very hard to update it in USD, but it might as well be like $5 at this point, given the current situation as we are. But 7-2 is our scoreline as you watched in game. If you're joining us right now, hello, this is map number 1 in a best of 3, so we're not done just yet, and we have one more best of 3 right out of this or after this to finish off our quarters. Tyrant, our map MVP, 10-3. What do you think that is the case? What did he contribute the most in this map, Tristan?
I think this is a huge credit both to MnM and Tyrant's versatility, to be completely honest with you. To have players like Tyrant, to have players like Users that can play SMG11s on defense, to play more supportive roles on defense, to be patient, to take time. I think it really caught Wolves out. I don't think they were able to pick players off like Tyrant early into rounds at all. We saw a round where Nello was being chased for around 2 minutes at the top of the map. So, yeah, I would say, excuse my earpiece, I'd say it was just difficult for Wolves to get a foothold and to really pick off players like Tyrant. I don't think there was really anyone from MnM that was dying early.
I think with Tyrant specifically as well, if you go back to Stage 2 of this year in EUL, he was trying to force things quite a lot. He was trying to force kills, force the KD, force the positions, force the plays. Now, like you say, he's playing a little bit more with the team and in the system, and he's benefiting so much from that. You know, it feels like if it's not Tyrant, it's Soltov. It feels like between them two, they just share the MVP between the two of them. But his performance, particularly from that moment in Stage 2 where it felt like the penny dropped, where he's like, right, if I operate in this system designed to work for me, he started operating in it, letting the kills come to him, and playing with the team, and it's done him so well.
What about Skyscraper now? Because things get way more complicated here. 7-2 is not an expected result for a team like from a team like Wolves on map 1. You know, MnM very comfortable into this. Can they carry the momentum into a 2-0? What does Skyscraper lend itself to being a comfy space for MnM?
I think we both agreed on the desk. It's likely a benefit to MnM to go here. We know obviously it's their map pick. It doesn't always tell you who's better at the map, but again, they're going to be confident to go to it. There'll be a reason that they've taken this. I think we've seen that they're playing very seriously here. They're not, you know, trolling. They're not running around. They're taking this incredibly seriously. There's nothing being saved here. I think Skyscraper's going to benefit them again if they play this way, where they're slow, they frustrate Wolves. They have sort of these layers to their defense that we talk about in competitive Siege, where you get past that first line and then suddenly you've got something really difficult to break down again, and you can 100% do that on Sky.
MnM when they've played Sky, the last couple of times they've played Sky in terms of Stage 3, where they couldn't attack Sky, they were very good at defending it, but they couldn't attack it. Then when they went and played at the Major, they were good at attacking it, but then they were struggling to defend. There's a Skyscraper coming that's like, I would consider the perfect Skyscraper, because MnM have clearly shown on both sides that they're comfortable understanding the win conditions and how the map plays out, because it does play out slightly differently. So I think, you know, for MnM, it's a map they understand the win conditions. They understand the layers of how to defend those layers and how to attack those layers and what operators to use as well. So I think for Wolves, it's not looking good. I think for MnM, you know, this is certainly, in my opinion, an MnM favoured map.
2-0, yes or no?
Yes, I'll say yes.
Tristan?
Yes, I think they should see it out. I think they'll be disappointed not to see it out. They're in an amazing position.
And since you're over there, 2-0? Yes, she agrees. There you go. You got all the info you wanted. There you go. Can MnM upset here and take down Wolves in the quarterfinals, or at least in the semifinals, I guess? Or will it go to map 3? That's all hopes from you watching at home to go to that map, but also for everybody that wants to see the team succeed. Who knows? Toss it to our casters. MnM are ready for you. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milos. And yes, we are going to be finding out very soon here on Skyscraper. Jack mentioned it. Once they knew how to attack it well, once they knew how to defend it well, let's see if those two have fused together to make this best of 3.
A perfect sandwich.
To make the perfect Skyscraper sandwich.
Delicious.
What is going to be on a Skyscraper sandwich?
Well, they've got barbecue.
Oh yeah, they get some
So there's
barbecue.
going to be some barbecue.
Some sushi stuff as well.
Some sushi. Can you
first of
barbecue
all,
sushi?
What does classify as a sandwich? Is it bread, something on top of it, bread?
Theoretically.
Yeah, okay. No, just so we have that cleared out.
Yeah, I mean, is a hot dog a sandwich?
See, that's the thing.
That is the thing.
Because it's technically just one bun, right?
Yeah. Unless you rip it in half.
And then it's going to be a sandwich in my eyes.
Uh-huh.
Because then it's 2 pieces of bread pushed together.
Either way, if there was a level of which map is the tastiest, I think Skyscraper, it has barbecue and it has sushi and it has a kitchen. Kafe has a kitchen. Chalet has a kitchen.
Yeah. It's definitely more
Club has a
flavoured
kitchen,
here.
but I wouldn't trust any... Oregon even has a kitchen, but I wouldn't trust anything from it.
Club also has a kitchen.
Yeah, also, there's a lot of kitchens in Siege. There's not a lot of bathrooms, though.
There is also a lot of bathrooms.
No, there's not a lot. There's way less bathrooms than there is kitchens.
That
The new
is
Nighthaven
true.
map does not have a bathroom.
Maybe it's locked behind doors, because we all know that actual
I feel
doors
like
cannot
they
open.
really should have bathrooms, Nighthaven. For all the budgets that they have, for like, oh, look, I'm Carly, I've got cool guns. Oh,
She
look.
has been arrested though, so maybe
I may.
you know
Yeah,
that
she got
is
arrested.
why there's no more
Like,
budget to actually get the.
If you haven't seen it, there's a new cutscene.
Yeah, there is.
Hey, these bands, less funky. Way less
Less
funky.
Yep.
These are pretty standard setup bands. The double electric restriction, okay, maybe you don't really expect that. You might have even potentially put Wamai there instead of the Bandit or the Kaid. I think you can really swap either. Hatches aren't the biggest drive here. You're looking at a couple of sort of flat walls that become the big problems. The way that a lot of teams love to attack this map, you'll see the top 2 sites are generally the 2 that you'll see the most, and you sort of take it across the half. You treat it a little bit like Villa, where you isolate stair sets, get yourself in on the top floor on the opposite stuff, and then just sort of clear your way across.
To some extent, it kind of feels like it's 2 separate buildings, right? And that
Yeah.
big white wall that you have between Dragon and Drum, or Terrace and Drum, that is that big divider. Now, it does bleed into each other a bit more the further we get in the development of Skyscraper. But either way, that is how you often treat it. Now, as the extension comes through to the office, it is just to make sure you waste as much time as you possibly can to stop MnM from truly pushing in, so those externals are going to be locked off. Limit them through mostly windows and a couple of doorways that they would have to jump through. Or even ascend some of the staircases. And as MnM is coming through, they do start on the exhibition site. Instantly hopping in towards the bedroom area. Tyrant hoping to clear out any potential roamers that would be downstairs. And Solis is not on the board, and you can find out due to the fact that there's already pre-placed drones. I mean, she's on the board, just not being played right now.
Yeah. Here it is. The quick bit of pressure towards that. As I said, you'll sort of try and get some clarity. Tyrant's in a catch position. He was hoping somebody might rotate underneath because, well, they could. That's the sort of meat of it. Is the takeaway is a lot of it is often flat, and some teams might find themselves taking a bit of a risky drop, a bit of a risky rotation. It's a long route on your way back through. There's a lot of twists and turns and a lot of places to hide the players. So instead, pull back with the support structure you have in place. They take themselves a bit of control here on the opposite end, and this is the next point of ingress. Rise, holding onto that shield to swing around from the side of that, the canopy that drops down, the extension towards Drum. That's what we talk about, of the separation of map A to map B, is that exact line Rise is now the front line of.
It's literally being broken open now by those breaching charges coming through. They're hoping to give themselves as many opportunities to challenge Rise and Mowgli, who are holding off that border between the 2 parts of the map. Now, flashbangs are coming through. Rise is going to be completely blind. You should be able to act on the back of this, and the Gaunt 6 will be used to potentially get rid of that shield, but I believe it has failed. And that means that Rise, now able to see again, has the opportunity to continue contesting any way these attackers come from.
Yeah, this is what we talk about this map being a little bit slow on the attack. It's 2 minutes, and they've only really been able to get themselves circled around. The pressure on Geisha, the pocket EMPs are going to be able to pop open that wall, and they find P4 on the back end of it. Geisha's dropped, Nello gets Rise. They've retaken this control very quickly. Users swinging around onto Mowgli at the same time. Blackstairs is now that sort of back end of pressure. Shinka, he's tucked himself in towards the site itself, and now he's the only one left holding on. But as he's caught out in karaoke, watched, he's trying to sing his favorite song of survival, but instead has to slip and slink his way down back towards Black. Drops himself, gets caught out. The smoke is just going to force out the position on goal, but he's watched by the drone. They know exactly where he is. He has nowhere he can really go at this point. They just have to watch the corridor. MnM open with technically their 5th round in a row.
I'm kind of confused on what exactly happened there. I mean, P4 is the first to fall in Geisha. That happens. But what we saw earlier is that border we spoke about was being defended by Mowgli on Drum, by Rise up on the topper of Dragon, and Mowgli just disappeared. He's gone. And suddenly Nello has an opportunity to just walk in, take down Rise, and then you're just confined to the side.
What I wonder, and what I'm curious about, is if Mowgli rotated back
That's what I think.
towards the main stairs, is where I think he died from, or if he took the drop down the canopy to see if he could get underneath and maybe do some damage when people started dying, tried to rotate his way back up, because it was very swift. As soon as Geisha fell,
Yeah.
you saw a lot.
But that's it. I think indeed Mowgli fell back towards the main stairs to see if he could try and hold onto Geisha with like the wall and just firing underneath. That is being portrayed right now by the Observer. Is it medics or is it easy?
Medics.
Medics. Okay.
I think.
Medics. Yes.
Medics.
It's medics. So him removing himself from the equation there, that really allowed Nello to instantly take the space, take down Rise, and then suddenly there's only 2 more rooms you need to be clearing out as the attackers. So, well done by MnM. Like, all credit to them. And just that one rotation basically completely collapsed whatever was left of the defense there. So, it's good to see that MnM was able to act on that so quickly. 1-0, 2 minutes 30. Phone call coming out. Bibu has to fall back slightly because he is on that front line. The phone is going off. He knows he could be hunted, and he definitely is, because Tyrant down below. If he waits a bit longer, could have potentially picked up one of the drops that came through, but I'm not sure if the rotation will stretch as far. It's just P4 chilling around the bar, holding on tight.
That's it. That's the slight change at this point. Wolves, they've opted for one sort of minor difference that we can see so far, in that they're not all prepped and stacked up in the same sort of lock-off position on the second story. Instead, they've got themselves a bit of a stretch, and Tyrant's going to sort of make a speech about it, but P4 hasn't blocked off entirely. He's still blocked off a bit of that approach. He's still watching and monitoring, can rotate up the main stairs if he so chooses, but there might be a little bit more pressure here coming towards Rise. You can see at least 2 stacked up. There's a drone caught out by the mute jam on the back end. And as I said, it's such an important power position for them to play.
Gish again to be opened up as Rise is hoping to not be abandoned this time, and surely that call has been made. The adaptation will be coming through. Flashbangs in to stop any form of magnets out there. The shield this time will fall, and that is going to be making Rise's job a little bit more difficult than it was last time. So he falls back. He abandons the position this time, which means that Mowgli is now left alone.
That's the thing. When you know that it's only really mute jammers, they're going to be stopping the approach of Electrics. It makes things very easy for pocket EMPs on the approach. They're going to get Geisha open, regardless of what happens. At this point, they're going to see if they can try and pull themselves back. Mowgli with the pre-fire round, but he's just going to pull himself back in. The pings on the single player watching that. Oh. And it's Solotov that does a huge job, gets the first, cannot quite get the full bite of Mowgli on the second, who tucks himself back round into karaoke. They have the stretch from 45 seconds. What can they now do with it, MnM?
Should been the second kill there, but the wall just blocking the line of sight just slightly. But that extra man advantage should be crucial. But Rise just rotating into Geisha, takes down Solotov before he gets shut down himself. So that crown is at least being retaken by MnM.
There is still a player underneath. P4 prepped with a C4. He's ready to see if he can try and get the back end of this, but he has to make his appearance at the right possible time. 20 seconds, 3 versus 3. They've got to see if they can try and strong arm their way into the site at this point. Neo, he's holding off a bit of a swing angle as he's going to see if he can step his way in. There goes Mowgli, down and now out. They've got themselves dropped in. The C4 pops, not at the right place. There's the reveal and the rotate up the stairs. There's the bite back round. It's MnM's. Somehow that final call came at the dying end, and if they'd have backed off, that would have been
good for pushing through. That is definitely it. They found themselves an opening. Again, they stayed calm, they stayed patient, they slowly solved the puzzle by moving the chess pieces around the board and seeing if there's an opening they can spot to checkmate Wolves. And that's what they did there. Except for the last, attempt from P4 to C4 not catching anybody out. He finds it down from the main stairs, but after that his position is known and the remaining players will be there for the cover on MnM. And this is something we said during the previous map as well, Emmy. They play as a team. They're always together. It's not like you find that one solo player out there and you have the opportunity to rotate around and find yourself for a second position to strike. Someone is instantly checking it. There's no way of you backing out at that point. And now we change over to the other side of the map. It is going to be Exhibition and Office. Again, the same division of the map still stands, and Wolves is going to be fortifying it as they see fit, using Izami. The Frost as well, bringing out the mats to see if anybody can be caught off. But that division hasn't been too successful yet. I mean, they've been able to hold off MnM for massive amounts of time, but then the push also happens elsewhere, and they're not as successful at holding that down. And they're forced back, and suddenly that cloud just favors MnM so much. So far the attacks, subliminal.
I mean, subliminal?
That's not the word, is it?
It's sublime.
Sublime.
Subliminal is like a secret message.
It's not a secret message.
Like,
it might be.
Like if you flash
Sublime,
Christmas lights in a certain way.
Morse code?
In Morse code.
Yeah.
But you don't tell somebody, and then
But I meant Sublime, so it's good. Good attacks coming through.
We're learning.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if they can try and keep that trainer rolling. To be honest, if P4 had just pulled back, I think they might have been able to take that previous round on time. At least he would have isolated it into sort of 2 1 versus 1s, potentially even just a 1 versus 1, and then pick up the guy planting. It's little moments that aren't quite connecting today from the side of Wolves, where MnM's just been a bit stricter, a little bit more put together on it. The break comes towards the top of the stair set as they once again go for this. As I said, it's the top across clear. Well, you get half of the map under your own lock-in. Mowgli's going to see if he can go for a bit of a rebuild and try and hold on to this. There's a dangerous window on the side of Dragon, and Solotov just drifts by, but nobody quite catches either. There's that dangerous window.
As Tristan said, MnM, they are playing to win it here. They're not leaving anything to be questioned about their intentions of being here right now. They want to take that trophy home. They want to make sure they are the best of EU, and so far it has been showing. Solotov trying to go for the first entry here. He's not quite connecting to P4, who's now stuck behind his little bar. He's trying to play the pixel peek to his advantage right here, and a bit of a teammate is coming in to help as well. Well, so far not finding the entry they were looking for.
I mean, they're just pre-firing either side of this door, and there's users getting the first.
Double.
Solotov tucks with the second. Mowgli finds Tyrant. At least one body back on their end, and now he's going to see if he can get the next on the window. He's under intense pressure, and that wall is going to, for now, stay solid behind him. There's just a bit of support from a mute jam that will mean that they cannot quite get the swing round from the side of the terrarium. Mowgli on the back end, he's doing his best to hold it out here on the swing either side, and there it is, the angle over the top, but look at all of that. That's not going to pop off 30 seconds, and MnM, they've got to try and find a different route through, as Mowgli's able to find one more for the cover for the 2 bodies they took. They've lost 2 on the same swing on that door.
Yeah, the shield Rise playing behind here is posing a bit of an issue here for Wolves, because it's going to be stopping them from taking Dragon under control together with that Mew Jammer, but the opening on the side is that going to be causing the double team to come through. Neo and Elo both find success, but it's Mowgli with a quad kill. He needs to find the last. There's 9 seconds left on the board. He is set up for it, and he aces it as well. Wolves, they find the round on the back of the Mowgli ace. As they ran MnM out of time, they forced him to just push through. And as they tried, they found success.
I mean, if there was a moment where you sort of needed Mowgli to do Mowgli things, it was
this
there.
that one.
We saw them holding down Dragon for as long as they could as the Azami. They got the first kill around that swing round. They realized how much pressure was coming through on the other side of a locked wall, so they sort of said, Rise, you stick here, you hold them off. Rotates back, gets himself hopped up inside the site to cover over, as you said, a great angle. He set up himself. He was literally and figuratively plugging the holes throughout that on the approach. Wherever there seemed to be a leak that MnM wanted to put the pressure onto,
Flex tape, man.
it was flex tape. It was putting the cover over. It was making sure they couldn't get the reach through, and then shooting through the covers he was building too. An outstanding round.
Now, I have to say, Dragon, you mentioned it before, but that was, well, not quite right defining as the ace, but it definitely helped, because they couldn't open up that wall. They were having to throw bodies at the problem. Mowgli there to pick them up. Rise still behind that shield, able to, well, again, plug up any hole that could have otherwise been created as well. And with that, they really needed to push in through VIP, which they did, which is finally when it took out Rise, but too much time already wasted, too many men already lost. Mowgli closing them down in the end. That's round 1 for Wolves. They managed to get no more than 2 in the last. Hoping to do better than that here. But the defense has started off a little bit rough. Considering MnM has been able to just breach through the borders, we have been talking about quite easily. Isolate those players, force them back, and suddenly overwhelm wherever they come from. And again, this time they're attacking from the house area, so from the exhibition, from the office. They will be headed over towards Terrace, towards Dragon, to take control of Drum. And the players are there. Again, I mean, nothing is too different compared to the previous 2 times we've seen Wolves defend this. So I'm just gonna wait and see to find out what they've chosen to do to adapt to the style of MnM's attacks.
MnM. Oh, suffering a bit of a scrape through, and there's the soft.
Good
gone.
sound.
Rise, yeah. got his headphones turned up to maximum. Might not be healthy in the long run, but sure healthy for now. They're going to instead see if they can try and rotate and make sure that if he goes for the same sort of pop out, he's not going to be as successful. Put some bullets over the bow of the shield. They've won this twice in a row. There's the pop, and there's at least some support and cover. The break comes against the soft wall and gives them that little bit of extra width. Once again, there's now a chance of underneath play by P4. Mowgli's there to support if they need it. 2 players have got to rotate underneath now, but there is also a Lion that's not too far away from them.
Tyron is quite low on HP, and he's aware of the fact that he's being hunted, so he's quickly trying to find himself a way out, or at least a route out. As Solitov finds a double kill. Mowgli and Boo just taking off the board like that, no big deal, and that's going to be allowing MnM to find themselves again with an opportunity to just start hammering down at the side. That's Geisha under control. Now just push onto the main stairs.
Oh, there's one more. He's inside the site. Cannot find the 4th. Jinka stops the run of Solitov, but Rise, he's doing his best to hold on to the opposite end. Downs Tyrant. He should be able to crawl at least to some safety round on the side, and there's Neo with the cover that he needs. Shinka, he's able to bite the second head off. Has to repeat a back-to-back ace of a different Wolves player at this point to try and clutch this round into their favor. Cannot quite find it there. Neo has the connection. MnM 3-1 here on their attacks across the board.
I like how you have 2 players just shoulder peeking slightly, and like one gets picked up, the other one backs off after the first sets of shots come through.
Tag in.
And you just have Neo with the DMR, like which is probably like the worst gun to take such a fight. And he just runs by. He's like, "Oh, I'll take down that kill. That's all fine."
Got the one on.
Got it.
Got the one onto Rise. Is there to support their friends at the Jiggle Peak corner. I mean, Mowgli being caught out there, I'm not sure if that was just bad timing. There was the fight that was going on the back end of Geisha. They had the angle. You could see that Mowgli was rotating up those stairs mere moments before the disaster struck. And then pushing in to get the 3rd as well. The army just had no idea.
It's an unfortunate situation for Wolves to lose 2 players as early on as that, because they definitely had MnM under lock and key to some extent, right? Because there wasn't really anywhere they could have gone anymore, because, you know, that division was being guarded well. Geisha, sure, it was in the process of being opened up, but I mean, even if it's opened up, you don't really have control of it as of yet. So that double opening, that truly elevated MnM and allowed them to just skyrocket into the rest of that round, into the rest of the site, to find success. Now, no Solace has been played yet, I believe, this map.
No.
We see a lot of pre-placed drones being out here for MnM. I'm not saying it will be a solution because we didn't really see the full extent, but if you do manage to take out some of these drones earlier, because there's one underneath the default cam right there, you just saw, they lack that information. That's the kind of default drone Nello used to take the spot of Mowgli in that very first round and take down Rise as soon as his post was abandoned. Got to take that away from them. You cannot have them have that information for free.
It's been more than enough of a tricky half here as the opener Wolves. If they can try and claw back 2 rounds at this point, that would be, I think, beyond anything. The only round that they've been able to get was an ace.
Yeah.
And that is most of the kills that the team has gotten as well. They're really just struggling to keep a meter on what has been a 5-pronged and pointed brilliant approach here from the side of MnM, really sort of putting truth to the words. Tristan spoke on the desk before where they like to attack this. They love to attack Wolves on this. It seems the pressure coming across. The first time we've obviously seen this site, the first time we've seen a site down on the first floor. Mowgli's going to buy himself a bit of a rotate room back round to the top. As I said, the man at the moment, but he's the first off the board this time.
Solitov played that perfectly, used that keeper barrier to safely reload, instantly back into the fight again. And that's going to be creating an opening here because that's the black stairs open up. But Bieber finds a response, takes down Tyrant, and now is hunting down towards Solitov. New. There's still a player on that doorway there, wants to make sure that's locked off, and he cannot play there for free. Whereas the rest of MnM is trying to break through that division, hoping to take Drum under control and take out Rise.
He's just keeping a bit of an eagle eye out. He maybe wants to strike, and that could be a problem that Wolves are seeing if they could get a solution, is strike first. See if they can swing into the positions that MnM's getting set up, which they're doing a lot of here. There's the hop through, and there's Solitov. He's able to get one more for the trouble, pushes them back once again, uses with the pressure on the opposite end. Solitov finds one more, having one of those games where you just sort of want to see what's on his gun and steal it for yourself to see if you can pull the same pops of magic. That's 3 for the round. He is on that 3.0 KD, and he's looking to see if he can get the 4th round here for MnM.
We do have a pre-placed C4, and we have one still in pocket by P4. Both these players are down below, but I believe Shinka just been spotted out by the Gemini Replicator there, so they're aware of what's happening. All they need to do now is find a table to plant on. That's the first to pop off. Shinka, you can start heading back up towards the top floor now. See what you can do. Allow P4 to play his magic. Actually, no, it's down below in Barbecue, so they're hunting it down. They know they're out here. Shinka, the time is about to be running out. You just need to stay alive. As MnM is pushing through, they might have mistaken themselves here as well. As the time, 2 seconds, 1, it is going to be P4 to close it out in the end. And I believe Wolves was just as mistaken as I was, because they were all up on the top floor. They wasted so much utility, and then they just rushed down in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah, you're a bit curious what happened there, MnM. A bit curious. You're able to do all the damage on the top, and then you sort of were droning out the final push. You had a rough idea where the players were. There was prepped ideas and angles. It's one of those moments where you sort of go back and you have to sort of watch what everybody's doing from a top down to be like, what?
I mean, by the amount of people we had upstairs for the majority of the round, you would have been convinced. I mean, I was convinced it was a top floor hold.
Oh, I never I thought, because if you're attacking that site, you get control of the top and then try and box your way down. It felt late if that's what MnM were doing, and if that's what they weren't doing, then they were mistaken on where the site was.
Something like that. But okay, well done by Wolves. They managed to stay alive until the final end. I was literally convinced it was top floor.
Yeah,
the C4 is pre-placed for top floor. I was like, okay, sure, he's going to be rotating back up now. But no, not the case. It was 30 seconds left at that point for MnM. There was not enough time to go back down towards the ground floor, so well done. Well done by them. And that's 2-3. Back towards the office, the exhibition room, to see if they can make this an even half on the side of Wolves. I was literally about to commend MnM as well by how they managed to open up the full top floor.
Yeah,
and again,
I'll be honest, when you
know,
said Shinka can rotate up now, I was thinking, I mean, they could, but I wouldn't.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I was a bit
my bad.
confused why you were calling that.
I was sure they were going to be in the top floor, but that's my bad.
Well, Shinka doesn't need to rotate anyway. Gets the first off the board. Nello is gone. Was at least able to open a wall, but there's now a bit of a problem on the opposite side. That User is going to have to be the only man that can sort of solve here for the swing round. They've got that restructured, rebuilt. The Gon 6 is going to get rid of both of them, but they're going to pull themselves away. Some of the pocket with the keeper, about 30-ish%, but I'm bad at numbers.
Preparation being done here by MnM, opening up all these barricades to allow themselves easier move through. That's going to be the least of their worries, because keeper barriers are set up right behind it, and as soon as they start crossing, the pressure will start to rise. Now, the VIP wall has been opened up again, and that is going to be putting some pressure onto Bibu and Mowgli and Rise, all present inside of Dragon. That is how it felt the last time around when the ace did come through from Mowgli. So that is maybe something they try and bank on again.
Yeah, they're a body down, and it's a rare thing to see here from the side of MnM, especially with how much time has since passed from the other end of that. They've got to try and piece things together, but Mowgli has different ideas. As you said, it was where they pulled the ace before. They're able to keep some of that destruction from this. More than happy to lead and swing around the side. There's a close tuck on the left, and this is what I talked about before. It seems like one of the changes Wolves is making is meeting them with more aggression. They're sort of refusing to let them get set up, and P4's hoping that the gambit of not being droned out is going to work in his favor. I mean, if they find him, they've still got to potentially swing him, or they've got to go for a long rotate. There's the find. There's the reveal. Do they go for the double window and drop out and just sort of spray through the door? Do they see if they can try and do some damage from underneath, or this? Are they looking for the drone hole? Ooh! It was one of the riskier ways, but at least you know he's not going to shoot back. However, they do not get the kill.
And that's the painful part there. They did not have the entry they were hoping for, at least a bit of a return, because they are 2 men down currently. So they really need something to go their way. Users, be careful you do not step in that Frostmat. He gives away his position as he goes. And that means it's only up to Neo now. Breaks the keeper barrier, instantly gets pre-fired. It's the flawless round from Wolves. Brings themselves back up to 3-3 in a good position to try and turn that around, bring us to a map 3. If they are able to find their attacks and connect them against the defensive of MnM.
I mean, as I sort of said, at that 3-1 mark, I would be amazed if Wolves pull back the 2 rounds. One of them, you know, I think they were as confused as you are where the site was. That one, MnM definitely fell off a lot. They didn't quite have the same panache that they wanted to sort of drive themselves into the fight with. They were missing, but also Wolves stepped it in. It's the first moment that we sort of saw them in these not hyper-aggressive, but a little bit more aggressive positioning, in that they weren't tucked behind shields and trying to wait for the burn game that we saw in the opening few rounds. They weren't playing so strictly behind the mirror windows. They were a couple of steps ahead. And it took MnM a bit by surprise. You see the kill there onto the stairs at the end, and you're thinking, okay, they're not really sure. It's not a lesson that you can sort of take here, and this is where the lessons need to really be learnt from Wolves. This is going to be a tougher half than their defense, I think, for a lot of people's money. But are MnM a bit disheartened, or do they think they can lock it from here on?
They still have a tactical timeout to use if they do run into trouble, so does Wolves. So nothing is lost as of yet. I believe uses his eyeing to go for a quick jump out. There we go, that's one spot. Goes for it. It's a bit too early, though. Gets spotted out.
A bit too early. Yeah, no one had arrived at that point just yet. Went for something bold and brash to try and open things up, but not rewarded for it. That's one of the parts of this, the approach. Yeah, screw that cabinet.
Just allowing himself to have some nice vision down the line. And make sure the top floor is going to be as protected as possible, and that cabinet does soak up some bullets every now and then. So creating an extra angle might be catching off a unexpected attacker. First castle barricade to be removed is going to be allowing them to start pushing, putting pressure onto Drum. But we're still very busy with droning out the house area of the map, just making sure that exhibition, bedrooms, the office are going to be cleared out, so there's no surprises waiting for them there before they finally start striking towards the place where they actually need to be. Now it is again barbecue and kitchen. This time I'm not caught
You're
off.
aware.
I'm aware.
Okay.
Is Wolves going to be aware this time?
Mowgli still looking for those little pockets of fight that can come from those pixel swings round. There's a huge bit of pressure here onto the Drum player. They do have the big dangerous drop, but it is very likely suicide with the ease of watching it from underneath. Nello does find P4 though, and that's a little bit of that security. As I said, the dangerous drop turns a little bit safer now, especially as you've been able to take a player around from the stock end. You have that cover gone. So the aggressive fight has to come here. Oh, that's still so dangerous. Popping themselves back in. Mowgli suffers the same fate, but MnM, they're able to slip their players back in. They're going to start trying to hold on now to this new back line. They've dropped the first. They've rebuilt the trenches onto the back end of Karaoke. And as gold starts to get opened up, Wolves are still desperately looking for a first.
A minute, and they're still only trying to take control of that top floor. They haven't really tried to take care of the horizontally yet. Mowgli finds Neo, instantly taken out by users though, as Solotov in the Geisha finds one, hoping to go for a second. Locks it off. MnM able to fend them off on the top floor, not really having to worry about barbecue, so the true hold downstairs not fully tested, but again, find themselves in the lead. Start off strong on their defensive half.
Yeah, as soon as the pressure started to come there, I think Wolves realized, they did not have a huge amount of time to make that final piece come together. They were sort of under this mantle of pressure here where they hadn't gotten any control. They weren't quite able to stop this swing round, the pressure that was coming on the opposite end. MnM get that open up. Now they can sort of pull themselves up here to the top floor of the site, and you know, maybe it was one of those situations where Wolves expected it to be this site first. They thought they maybe had a bit more time to get the pressure down. There was the death underneath in stock, not too far away from the site, and at that point you're thinking,
well, I mean, it's also a Capcan, so it's like, it has a C4. It's not too uncommon of a C4 operator being below, right? It's like, you can toss that up on a little balustrade and then find a kill like that if Geisha, or if Drum, sorry, or Upper Drum falls.
10 seconds left.
So, I mean, just that one player doesn't mean enough in that case. But either way, not sure if, again, Wolves just wanted to take top floor first before they start headed down, or if that was the same trap I fell into just a couple of rounds earlier. But we're finding ourselves on the top floor now. So pretty similar kind of hold to come through from what we've seen in the majority of the previous round, with maybe the exception of the Capcom playing down below. However, might also be not a bad shout to have someone down below to make sure that, you know, if someone comes up in one of these staircases, you have an opportunity of knocking them down.
MnM, you've taken a good first round back into this, and as I said, the pressure is entirely onto Wolves to see if they can try and meet the mantle. It's not easy attacking this map. Things get a bit slow, a bit bogged down, and Mowgli might be that man of the moment to start to spark some of that life back in. The pressure onto the gates. They have the stretch. They have these slightly longer angles towards the pixel position. Good is often played a spray back through, but that wall, the difference here is it's solid. It's locked. There's the jams behind it. They're not going to get the easy breach through. They need BB to potentially rotate round with the pocket EMPs. He's making that move now. They're able to find an angle to get that open. Maybe it was shot out from underneath, but either way, minute 20 gone.
Very worried about roamers potentially coming onto the back stairs near house. That is what they're looking out for. No one there, however. Everybody is basically set up on that top floor around the site, making sure that the Wolves will not have a way in. Solotov is going to be taking out some drones. He knows that he's about to be breached here by next to Thermid, but he has the hatch he could use to drop off. If that is going to be problematic, I could just walk all the way back towards safety as well. MnM, they're just holding tight right now, and a minute 10 left on the board, and well, Wolves really haven't made too much progress here.
That's it.
Oh, they wanted to get that barrier, didn't get it.
No, they're trying to find their way through. That wall is staying electrified. They don't have the pocket EMPs to get it dug out, so it's going to have to be this. The grenade round and just gets the catch. They're able to get the pop through. The breach is going to come off. Solotov isn't going to stick around and find out what happens next, though. Instead, pulls back and gets himself a slightly different angle. He's got some solid behind him, but there's nothing solid currently pushing him. Mowgli, he's going to slip his way through. Gets the bulletproof, gets tucked around, is expecting a swing and a fight from somewhere. The pings come across the board. Solotov wins the fight on the window, looking for the next. It's ring around the rosies, but the cover is on the stairs. Shinka does find Solotov inside. Geisha at this point. Rise is trying to knock on the back door of gold. Bibu's going to step in, but Neo has that cover as well, and these split angles are problematic at best, and at worst, it's just Shinka left. The rebuild there, the swing on the stairs, the force of the position, the pre-fire gets the connection onto users, but 15 seconds, and look at that rotate. Azami's not sticking around to find out what happens next. Going to move their way back to black. They've given over the site itself. They're going to sort of say, try and plant. We'll swing round and get the cover. The bait on the first, the pull and the rotation onto the second. Neo's round on the corner, 4 seconds. They popped up. There it's Nello. And there's 2 rounds.
Beautiful team play from MnM. Is all you have to say. Like, the aggression from Solotov heading back into Geisha, they wanted to punish it. He finds the first in the window, then the second one is able to just stop anybody from moving through that breach by playing on the main stairs. You have the other example where you want to pre-fire one angle and suddenly the one that is just slightly wider also has a player in it. That is the kind of stuff you want to see on a defense like this. MnM perfectly playing that out as a team, which is their strength. And all you can do is commend it. And they finally find themselves on 3-5, 2 more rounds away again from a map, but this time it would also mean the game. Put them in the grand finals of the European League. 2 more rounds.
I mean, it's a hell of a way to get there.
It is definitely. I mean, they've been very dominant this game so far.
I mean, you know, the expectations, I think, for a lot of people were a Wolves BDS final tomorrow, a bit of a grudge match revenge for what happened at the major. Because for a lot of people's monies, at that major, the team that Wolves had to beat was BDS. And any other team should have been theirs. As it's been said, they're one of the best teams over the previous year. They've grown and grown, and MnM have been scrappy, and they've been at majors, and they've been set up in these situations. But at the same time, we expected, I think, a bit more from Wolves here.
I mean, the funny thing is, you just start thinking about things the teams are known for this year. Wolves is known for being at every major this year. MnM is known for losing 1v4s on the random occasion. You know? It's funny how those things differ, but MnM, they've really managed to climb out of that. They've really started to tighten up on their attacks and their defenses, which has been quite successful for them, to say the least, as they find themselves 2 rounds away from making it to the grand finals.
They're prepping themselves now, seeing if they can just hold on. The same work the Azami did before. The architect really coming into the architecture of this map. They are making sure that holes are continually plugged on the opposite end. The pre-fire onto the window, the stress and the pressure of a player that's going to pull themselves back a little bit. You can see Wolves are sort of prodding, picking apart at particular angles and seeing if there's anything that lies underneath it. Neo's tucked himself back into drum. He realizes that the pressure is sort of multifaceted. Shinka, in the meantime, he's going over to the opposite end. There's pings on the player, the one stuck at the top of Black Stairs. It's been there quite a while, but I think even they at this point have realized just how much is coming their way. And look at this, instantly tucked out, tucked around. Gold has now fallen, and Wolves once again have been able to get control over half of the top floor, but around the same time, and it sort of fell apart before. Solotov's going to make sure it starts that exact way again. Mowgli gone.
Man's just on fire right now. There's no stopping him. Like, you need to be doubling down to take out Solotov. Taking a head-on-head gunfight, you're not going to be winning that most of the times. I mean, he's died 6 times, but he's gone way more kills than that. People slowly rotating around. He's hoping to move unseen or unheard, potentially to play from that window, shut down anybody that's playing near the little rotation area. But as drones come through, Wolves, they need to be breaking the division of the map here to find that success they're looking for. And Rise already looking, he's afraid of someone pushing it back up from the top. And as they drone out, could be confirming no one is indeed there. Rise can now start continuing, hammering down on Terrace.
I mean, it's what makes it so awkward. That wall getting popped open, that's a pretty big blow for the defense here, and the swing round. The Jam did not quite just get that, but yeah, the impact, and there's the rebuild once again, the pressure, the Gon 6 on the far end, but there's some suffering from Bibu, but Shinka getting the break onto the wall. 30 seconds, and Wolves, they've suddenly gone from 0 to 100, and they're going to see if they can try and get somebody behind it, but Neo tucked and ready to drop the close angle to fight itself. P4, he's able to just get a snap to the second. They've got eyes towards the site. Can they try and get the cover of the blinds and get that kit down? What seemed impossible up to this point. There's the Yazami inside, looking for the instant swing round. There it is. They're dropped down from the opposite cover. There's the cover, and there is MnM pushing themselves to map and series point. 3 defenses in a row.
Again, like, perfectly played by MnM. They fall back as soon as the pressure gets too high. They start locking down the actual site. They played in pairs. They do not peek alone. There's always someone to follow up. And just a little bit of unexpected aggression onto the players of Wolves as well. Suddenly swinging out just the meter more than they might have expected. That is what is making them win these gunfights. As well, Solotov just you know, not completely locked down on the side. He's slightly offside, slightly on their own, but he's able to find these important opening kills. Is really doing in Wolves right now. And now a potential last round. We're headed back towards the barbecue and kitchen as the full rotation has been completed. Of course, there is 4 sites on the map, but house doesn't often get played here, which is the bathroom, the bedroom, that kind of area. This doesn't get played often, so barbecue and kitchen has a bit more security to it, which is why it is being played right now by MnM. I mean, they've already been able to get a victory here. Quick impact use on the VIP wall as well might make them afraid of a potential run out. Capcan traps on windows is not often something you see, but it's all there to stop any quick pushes coming through. And it starts with a house clear, with the top floor clear on the eastern side. That is how Wolves is looking to win this round. Last time they did this, they lost plenty of time. They did not have enough time to actually make it to the site before MnM was able to, well, basically run them out of manpower.
MnM so close to pulling themselves into the final tomorrow against whoever takes it in the next showing. They're looking like they want it more than anything at this point, and fair enough. Sure, anyone that is close to the players will maybe be expecting a little bit more of the presents that they might receive around this potential holiday time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just about that.
Not just. The Wolves, they might make their stay a bit shorter than they hoped it would be after their recurrent major performances. Now, Neo's receiving a bit of pressure from either side. It's not directly gunfire yet, but it's pressure in terms of bodies and drones rolling through. Mowgli is looking to take the first gunfight here. Doesn't get the full lock on. Takes out of the shield, but I believe they're stuck behind the drum now.
No,
That'll rotate it off.
Yeah, just rotated off there. As soon as I think they heard the swing of the breach, they knew that they had a split second before the gun would be back out. Take the rotate, take the time, don't try and swing into it. It was almost that gift. It was almost the best they could have. Mowgli just missed out on the opportunity to get the swing round, and that quick response from MnM, which has been a big consistent of the day, almost actually bit him right back. Bibu gets stacked up towards the side of Geisha. The break comes through onto the territory. They're going for this control above, and what they're doing different this time is getting some of that width early. We saw a very heavy presence across the board before. I say early, in terms of actually getting into the gunfights that follow. They still have the situation potentially underneath. They've got this, the spray round. Neo rotates off, a bit of a cover comes through, but look at the difference. MnM, they've been forced out of this because of that Geisha break.
Well, that's also it, but also that's not the actual side, so they just start falling back to the actual side. You've just wasted a minute 20 trying to get side control. You still don't have it. Solita finds the first, and basically they need to start all over again, but now a floor down, and they do not have the time for this. They need to go for brute force. Neo finds one. There's only 3 more left on the side of Wolves to keep them in it. Are they going to be able to succeed?
Rise gets a great take behind the bar and is going to see if he can try and pop up and get another, but 15 seconds. They've just got to try and drop, hope, and really hope as they hold F and see if they can get the kit down. The blinds round, the swing, and the kit drops out of it. It is a 4 versus 1, but Bibu, even he can't make that work. MnM, what a performance and what a day to take them past the Wolves. The team that a lot of us expected it, but they'll be keeping their eyes towards Asai. And MnM, they'll have their eyes firmly locked on the game that's up next and tomorrow.
Yeah, they will be finding out who their opponents will be for the Grand Finals that will be taking place tomorrow to find out if they can also get their, well, throne gilded for the next season's intro. But that was a very dominant performance we saw from MnM there. Wolves not really able to connect at all to whatever was being tossed at them, whereas MnM, they played like a team. Like, they played as a unit, just tossing themselves at Wolves, and they found massive success.
It was so well connected. It was everything that they needed to do today, and I think that they've sort of put a big statement out. Wolves, unfortunately, it wasn't their day, but as we said, they still have their side to try and look forward to. And what we have is a quick break before we're back with the desk to break that down.